All right, part 2, Slob-a-palooza. I think every time we have a new slob on, we're gonna cut. Like last time it was Slob-a-thon. Now it's Slob-a-palooza. What should like the next one be? Like Slob-a-mania, perhaps.
The Slobber Dome.
Yeah, slobber knocker, obviously. Hey, this is Todd. Say hi, Todd.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, so Todd, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, thank you, by the way, for having me on. So my name's Todd. I've been editing as a slob, that a badge I wear very proudly since the beginning of this year, and I've really enjoyed doing this. One of my favorite ones that I got to do was the Retro Bird one, which I did with truly much affection. I love watching that guy's videos, and I saw there were some fans that were not too thrilled with the take that they thought, collectively we were making fun, but we definitely weren't.
Really? There was some feedback that thought that we were crapping on him?
I think calling him like a Midwestern mom maybe wasn't the most flattering thing.
The joke is that he's lame, and that he's sad and he's lonely, and it's pretty fucking funny.
How could we forget the king of all video games that came right at the end of the 90s? That's right, DDR.
I saw that the person making comments, not that I follow any of the drama, but I guess I'm vain enough to follow the ones that comment on the ones that I touched, that the same person who commented on his next video to let him know, and the Retro Bird said he was honored by the discussion you two had with
Oh, I didn't know. I never saw that. So you're saying that there was a comment on a Retro Bird video where they talked about us? I didn't see that.
There was. So the person making comments on yours, thinking that, you were raining on his parade, went over to his video and said, hey, you got to check these guys out. I think they're making fun of you. And he and I could read it in his voice, which was the funniest thing, which I won't even attempt to do, but it was, hey, I've seen it, and it sure seems like they're a fan anyway, or something to that effect. So
I get recommended his videos all the time, like very frequently, and it's often like, what's the best system, or what's the best way to play 2D games, or something like that, and I'll click in hopes of like, I don't know why, like I keep getting suckered into thinking he's going to express an opinion. He's always like,
whatever floats your boat.
There's lots of different dimensions to play video games on. Right now, I'm in the 2-dimension myself. And, it's a cardboard cutout of him. That's made up. I just wrote for Retro Bird. But like the dude just somehow fills 15 minutes, says nothing, and I enjoyed it. Figure that out.
Todd, why don't you explain a little bit of your background? Because you didn't just fall out of the slobber nut tree.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
I'm sure there's something that came before.
I can't think of anything else that came before. One day I just showed up, and I think what happened was I picked up a 1-Up arcade, and I just kind of got a twitch. And I got another one, and all of a sudden I was assigned videos to edit for all of you. So I think that's how that just all came.
That's how it works. We only hire people who have arcade 1-Ups.
But prior to purchasing my 1-Ups, I had gone to school for video production. And I was fortunate enough right out of school to get a job in that chosen field. And I got to produce on-air content for a cable premium network, the Stars and Encore family of channels, and I created a lot of the promotional content that was on Stars and Encore's channels themselves. So it would tell you when to tune in and to what, and we had a lot of creative stuff. We did a lot of shoots, and I would name drop like heck throughout this, but I would feel gross.
Come on, do it. Name drop!
I got to do a red carpet with interviewing Will Ferrell and Dustin Hoffman.
You stay classy, Stars.
Got to do a a shoot with Jackie Chan, but they ended up having this this great deal with Disney for the longest time. And so
I see.
for whatever reason, I got to be tasked with doing a lot of the Avengers Phase 1 series of movies.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Getting to do those promos and all of the Pixar things and all the stuff from original series and those big Hollywood hits. See, I sound like a promoter now, but all of those sort of things I got to have a hand in, and it was great. But when I'd have a conversation with my wife at the end of the day, and she would talk about, you know, what either a really satisfying or difficult day she may have had in her career. And the worst thing that I could say is like, yeah, I watched 4 movies and none of them were that great. I ended up deciding I needed to get a real job. So I moved into the corporate world from there. So now I fill my creative cup outside of the workplace.
That's kind of how it was for me with like, because Nina's in medical. And I'd be, oh, I had a terrible day. I had a big outage or what, you know, so
Yeah.
there's a VIP problem. And she's like, oh man, that sucks. Yeah. I lost a patient that I've known for 8 years. You know, like, oh, never mind. I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
So what got you into video film? And I mean, were you like a film guy as a child or what, you know, and it sounds like you were doing kind of a little bit of everything when you were doing media production professionally, like you were doing editing and
Yeah.
videography. Yeah.
Yeah, I was. So kind of going all the way back to the beginning. If you were to Google my name and Back to the Future, I would probably be embarrassed by the things you may find related to that. I was inspired from the time I was super little by that series of movies, and I decided that once I realized that movies just didn't happen, that they, you know, a whole team is there behind those to make intentional decisions and do that.
People just don't realize the glamour, the excitement of Hollywood.
I just started watching them over and over. Some may say obsessive. I was studying.
Yeah.
I wasn't, but that's how I sleep at
That's
night.
very much. That was the same thing for me. It was like there was pre-understanding that people make movies, and there was post-understanding that people make movies.
Exactly.
I just showed Gloria Back to the Future, by the way. She always wants a bedtime story, and I'm sorry. I'm like, once upon a time there was Marty McFly. This is where I go with this sort of stuff.
Oh, it's heavy.
And yeah, she's like, Dad, this is heavy. Like, you keep using that word.
Whoa, this is heavy. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
I decided to just go ahead and use all the swearing. You know, you're gonna see some serious shit. Get your damn hands off her.
You really think I ought to swear?
Yes, damn it, George, swear. And so she's like a little scandalized the whole time. But the quote that has stood out in our family was in Back to the Future 2 when Griff goes, "Since when did you become the physical type? Since when did you become the physical type?" And like I emphasized that to her. I was like, "What is with that line reading?" And then I thought she forgot all about it. Maybe 2 days later, she goes, "Hey, Dad, since when did you become the physical type?"
It came out when I was 3. And I remember going to the theater while my brothers and my dad went and saw Back to the Future. I found out years later. My mom and sister thought it would be a better future move for me. And they took me to see the first Sesame Street movie, Follow That Bird. Clearly the superior title of the two.
Yeah, obviously not. But you know what? Not terrible either.
It really isn't. I showed my kids when they were at that appropriate age, Follow That Bird. And I kept saying, like, it was like, you know, it's no Back to the Future, but I'm not having a bad time.
It's basically, it's a mad world in the Sesame Street world, or at least a portion of it is. There's the bizarre notion in that movie that, you know, like they for a long time, Snuffleupagus was an imaginary character, and at some point he wasn't anymore. Am I right about this?
Yeah.
In that movie,
I think so.
Yeah, he's still firmly an imaginary character in that movie. And so like a Big Bird is moving away from Sesame Street. He's going to go be with other birds. And he's having to have these highly sentimental goodbyes with Snuffleupagus. It's like if EJ were to go to California, this is how he and I would interface with each other. Yeah, it's like, I think in universe canon, he's talking to nothing when he's talking to this elephant. And And there's like one shot that is stuck in my mind where Snuffleupagus is going like, "Goodbye, bird. I'm gonna miss you, bird." He's calling him bird. Anyway, I apologize.
Goodbye, bird. Don't forget, I'm coming to visit.
I would watch the tapes over and over and over until they would wear out. And there was virtually no making of. Eventually there was, but there was almost nothing. And so what I found was that unintentionally I was studying how those movies were made. And of course it wasn't the only thing that I watched, but it was what probably was comfort food that I kept going back to over and over. And so that I figured would die off as I got older, and it totally hasn't. And but it's what inspired me to want to get into that. And so over the years throughout my career, I've gotten to work with, or at the very least meet, but I've gotten to work with a lot of the folks that were involved either behind the scenes or on camera with that. And it's truly a dream come true, and kind of a childhood dream realized in that way. And so I think that's how I kind of got to where I was. And then I spent all of that time working at Stars doing it. It was primarily just kind of general producing, which was coordinating everything from the editors and the audio editors and the graphic designers, or on set directing shoots and everything else. But we played a pretty heavy hand in virtually everything there, in how it was produced and how it was all put together.
When you first reached out, you were like, "Well, I've been editing for years, and it seems like fun." How did you find us? Where you said you've been watching for years?
So I found you guys well before the pandemic. I think your Boxmac. So it was from the Boxmac series. And
Boxmac.
I remember that show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like if you poll like 100 people, it probably is like 80% right now is James Rolfe.
Yeah. So we like that. I just talked to a guy that he asked me to be on his podcast, and I was like, "Oh, so you found us through James Rolfe?" And he was like, "No, I found you because you were talking about VHS, and nobody else is talking about VHS." I was like, "Wow, that's got to be the first time I've ever heard that." That'd be like if somebody said, "Like, no, I found you because you're talking about Bluey," and I love Bluey.
Yeah, it had to have been around maybe 2016, maybe 2017.
That's pretty early in Boxmac canon. Yeah.
It was, and truly it was the YouTube algorithm gods, just everything aligned. And I can't remember the exact first one that I saw.
Just dreadful.
Oh boy. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not the color dial on your television.
That one looks quite like a matte color.
Yeah. You can calibrate your monitor to this.
Yeah, to that one there. Oh, it's miserable. It's like onion buster. That's what it is. Bloody onion buster.
But it was funny because seeing all of your personalities and how you all interacted with one another, it reminded me of you guys were the type of guys I hung out with. This was almost like film school all over again.
That's what you get when you're an ass in the comments. F you, Matthew Harrington. We're willing to go to this extent to f you over. Go f yourself.
I recommend the Hy-Vee.
Oh, golly. I saw a lot of those parallels. And then over the years, I started realizing there were these other connections where I know, Frankie, you and I chatted, but we have a friend in common that I didn't even realize until you did your Who is Red Cow Entertainment. When I realized that one of the connections you had in there, I had to reach out and go, dude, no way. I had already been in communication with you, but I thought, oh my gosh, what a small world we live in. That here at the time, I think I was still I lived in Colorado at the time. Here I was in Colorado and you guys are in Massachusetts, but we still happen to know this one guy in common.
Oh, Robert Muratori.
And it's so funny because one of his best friends is one of my best friends, and so frequently I would go over to my friend's house for different events like Oscar parties and whatever, and Robert was there, and Robert even was crew on some of my star shoots as well. And it was funny that I had no idea that I knew he had gone to school with Parker and Stone, but I had no idea that he was in Cannibal the Musical.
Yeah, he was the DP.
Yeah. And silly me, I had no idea. And so yeah, it was just this weird kismet coming together of this weird separate, not to get all heady, but these weird separate universes in my life just all kind of merged. And
yeah, that's so interesting. How does that? I do like, sometimes when those crazy things happen, it feels like, oh, well, maybe just in a world of possibilities, sometimes coincidences converge. But I guess like if you were just to play the odds and you'd say, well, I'm interested in these things. He's interested in these things. These are the circles he's going to run in. These are the circles, like I suppose those happy accidents aren't so unlikely, but they seem like they would be incredibly unlikely.
Oh, sure.
Robert he was fun because obviously it was one of the most formative movies for me as a filmmaker. And then I got to be part of their documentary, and I figured, I would just come out to New York, we'd shoot my bit and I'd leave, but they were super nice. Him and Alexander Philippe were like really, really sweet guys. And then Robert actually kept in touch with me, which I didn't expect. And we did become friends. Like we talk, like we still talk somewhat, every once in a while. And he's a really talented cinematographer. Like I know he continues to do a lot of work, and he does it like at almost every resolution. Like he'll do DIY stuff and he'll do bigger stuff. Yeah, he's a talent, and he's just such a nice guy.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you said that. It just reminded me that they did a special, I wouldn't necessarily call it the world premiere, but they did this basically advanced screening in Denver of The People versus George Lucas. And I think it might have been before I had kids, I think. And but anyway, my wife and I went with our friends because our friends happen to be in it as well. And I remember I did not laugh nearly as hard as I did thanks to, now I know, both of you guys with I can paint my house any color as I want.
Oh yeah.
Long as it's Jar Jar.
You can't be preoccupied with what other people think. Like Star Wars, for instance, is my story. Just like my house is, my house. So if I want to paint my house green, even if everyone else thinks it should be red, guess what? I'm going to paint it Jar Jar.
And for years, I was quoting that. And when I found Boxmac, had no idea that was you guys.
Whoa,
no
that's
idea.
crazy.
I hadn't dove in, and it was so funny because it all just kind of came together. And
we've been making content. We've been making content for a long time. I was showing Nina Zach's Slob-a-thon video, and he had asked that we were talking about the Vince Gilligan cartoon we made, and he was like, "Did you guys make that recently?" And I said, yeah, it was kind of recent. I think it was like only 8 years ago. It's like, when the 20-year-olds were 12. But when you've been making stuff for 25, 30 years, like it starts to.
I just got a Facebook notification. And it was like, oh, here's a memory from 10 years ago. And it was us at the Having Fun up there at the Mass Independent Film Festival. So it was just like, it was like 10 years ago, baby. Boxmac will be 10 years old next year. So.
In March. Was it Ernest Hemingway? Things happen gradually and then all at once. Yes, steadily I've been feeling older, right? As you realize, like, oh, I'm not so connected to that. Oh, I'm okay, I guess I'm the older guy here. But this year, 38, has been the year that it's come up the most. Like more than it, like it's we're getting into territory where it's more likely than not that I'm going to interact with somebody who's younger than me instead of older than me. Or it's more likely than not, I'm going to find myself making some reference to, or there'll be some point of reference that I'm like, oh yeah, this is old hat, but we already know all about this, right? And people are like, no, I'm brand new to the planet Earth.
I'm not brand new. And then they use a word like Riz, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, no cap. No cap, king. But I don't know. Like, EJ, are you feeling that way, Todd? Like, when was there a point in time where you're like, oh, okay, like all of a sudden I feel older than I used to?
Well, I mean, I work with a lot of boomers, so I think I still feel pretty young. It's with love. It's with love. Yeah, it definitely online. Online, it feels like it's more and more a young person's game.
Or I was overhearing a conversation the other day between two young people. They were talking about politics, and they were like, I just feel like right now they're listening to us Zoomers more than we've ever been listened to before. And we're not used to it. Nobody ever listens to us. I'm like, people fucking listen to you. Oh, I've listened to you. Oh, I've heard a thing or two.
I've heard enough of you.
Oh, I've listened. Now it's time for you to listen.
I came to Box Smack and stayed more for kind of the relationships and the interactions more than the food. Though, as a side note, I started watching as a fitness model, but then I tried to do an eat along with everything you guys made, and we need to have a conversation because. But when you made the transition and knowing that it was just both of you on there, I fully bought into it and was like, yeah, I'll totally watch this. I was watching Box Mac every weekend that it was being released?
Yeah, every Sunday for a long time. Yeah.
And the unboxing and Box Mac after hours and all of that stuff, I would watch it if not while it premiered, within 24 hours. And so when you started doing the podcast, it was largely all stuff up my alley, though I kept thinking that you guys should do more work with that John Hunt.
How come you never do any videos with him? I don't understand. He's so lovely.
Just a suggestion, though.
You're referencing, I made a comment in a recent podcast where I was like, sometimes I'll run into people, they'll say, you should make more videos with John. I'm like, I've made 1,000 videos with John, like quite literally 1,000, and they're all highly edited and everything. And I actually got some comments that were like, I think we mean new videos with John. Oh man. Somebody made a comment. They were like, content creation and distribution is difficult because the nature of it being free, whether it's powered by ads or whatever else, but the nature of it being free, the nature of, the fact that it's like, you can just watch anything on, ad infinitum on YouTube. It means that you can take something that somebody worked really hard on and consume it like really rapidly and move on to the next and be like, where's the next one? I know the whole culture is like it's a consumer culture, but
sure.
This person commented, I thought intelligently, they were like, you don't really do that with like higher value restaurants or high, like you go in there and you're like, you're meant to enjoy your meal and you don't like demand the next one. It's not a convenience store, but YouTube's a convenience store, I suppose. So when did you decide, hey, maybe they'd like me to edit for them?
Yeah, so it had always been this. It's going to sound creepy to say it was a pipe dream. It wasn't quite to that extent, but I kept thinking like, I wish I lived in the same region as you guys because I would love to help out however I could because it would get me back into kind of what I've always done. And so when you and EJ just happened to be speaking offhand about maybe we can get some slobs, I thought, all right, it's now or never. If you're serious, I'm totally just throwing my hat in there. And if you're not, I will play it off like, yeah, I wasn't serious either.
I would never be a slob.
Yeah, come on.
So I think after the new year, we'll see whether or not we take a page out of Scott Lawaz's book here. Jay from OSW, he messaged me at length, and he sternly told me I need to do this. He's like, enough's enough, man. He's like, you're gonna love the efficiency. Like you can't like live your life editing.
Luckily you were serious and you gave me and others a chance. And it's been so incredibly fun. I intentionally don't have a YouTube channel, and it's not that I don't have things to say or things to show, but I'll tell you, my back catalog of the content I made as a kid and as a young man does not hold a candle to what either of you have done. Instead of kind of posting my own stuff, I enjoy supporting and whether it's helping or watching or in this case, participating in kind of elevating others. And
I think it's great.
And Todd, and what I really appreciate about you is that, a lot of our slobs have kind of gotten they're like a topic, like a groove that they get into, like pop culture or movies. it seems like you can tackle anything, or you're up for anything. So yeah, you do the show and tells, you do bluey, you like tackle anything and you knock it out of the park. So it's like really, I appreciate the everymanness of you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll tell you, that's it. It's truly the pleasure of getting to see what the topics were discussed. When I see it the next morning and go like, ooh, what can I pick? What can I snag? And getting to do just about anything. And even I was amazed that Zachary a few weeks ago did the House of the Dragon video, not having seen it, because
Trevor, yeah.
I too am somebody who that is not my show. And it was the last thing that I would volunteer for, not because I didn't think it would be worthy of my time. It was, I have no point of reference for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so because of that, some of the stuff especially when it's related to Red Cow lore. So any of your, I'll say characters, but you have an incredible cast of just your friends that you surround yourself with. I feel like I know the content well enough that I can at least pull some of the references on my own with little research doing that.
No, you're strong at that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. But when I saw that, selfishly, the only one that I intentionally snagged was that Wheel of Fortune one.
Oh, yes.
Because I was like, guess what, folks? I need to toot my own horn here. And one day I'm going to talk about it live on the podcast, and they're going to say, not only did Todd get older, Todd doubled himself in size.
Well, I'll tell you this. I because John loves game shows so much, and he was on that episode, and I thought it was a really good discussion, and you did a wonderful job on that episode, because not only did we talk about Wheel of Fortune and showed you on the show, and which I think is so much fun, but we were talking about the end of the broadcast day and all, just old guy TV stuff, which I love. But I was like, I just assumed that John had seen it, because John famously doesn't watch the content that he's in typically.
Yes.
Like Red Cow content way better than John does. Okay. Like John does not know, like, I mean, if you watch Box Mac or whatever, you'll quickly realize that the dude doesn't remember when we said this or when we did that, or like I'm like a big Red Cow fan. I think everybody could tell. Like I too am like real into what we do around here, but he's not. And but he was.
It's like he wakes up fresh every day, and like we put him on the show, and it's like a new job.
Yeah, no, it's true. He's like, I'm sure we've done that Mac before, haven't we? And we've never done that. But he had been watching the clips, and I thought the reason was because he's not in them, and maybe some of the topics are interesting. So I thought for sure he was going to watch that episode, and I brought it up to him, and I was like, did you see the Wheel of Fortune one? He was like, no. I was like, you're not watching the clip. I said, you got to watch. I said, Todd the Slob is in the Wheel of Fortune episode. This is incredible stuff. So here's what I want to do. I want to go through everything you've edited for Red Cow Arcade. And, yeah. So it'll give us and it's only been since January until now in August, right? But let's actually see how many you've edited. You have edited 16 videos. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your very first one, Kevin Spacey appearing on Tucker Carlson.
That's a good one.
What do I in?
You can't get rid of me. I'm Foghorn Leghorn.
And besides, I know what you want. You want me back.
You did a great job. That would have been the first one that we calibrated, where we were like, a little less of this, a little bit more of that. Now you're part of a small group that I call the Alpha Slobs, which there's like 3 or 4 of you that I think just know me. You know me down to my white meat. But we don't need to do a lot of back and forth anymore. Then you did the Hyperkin Mega 95, the product that seemed interesting, but I don't think anybody bought. It was a Hyperkin that you could put it was the spiritual emulation successor to the Nomad. That's what it was.
Wait a minute. When did this emulation stuff start? Because I've been collecting all these physical games for years.
How many games do you have back then?
Oh, thousands. I have most. I will never have it all, but I have most of the North American NES set.
Yeah, it looks,
Damn.
it looks
It'll
like
never be complete because there's no way I would spend that much money on some of the highest priced games.
Do you have a little Samson?
I do not.
Do you play
But-
them? Do you ever pop them in and play them?
Yeah, I do when I get a chance.
No
I started
EverDrive?
really
You
getting back
you don't fuck with an EverDrive?
I don't. I've never truly.
He never drive. It's right behind him.
Yeah,
there it all
Yeah.
is.
It's on.
you
a
have to worry
bookshelf.
about transferring. I just need to get the cobwebs and the dust off the contacts.
Yeah.
but no, honestly, even though I played as a kid and even like the Nintendo, we had a Commodore 64 and ultimately we got a Sega. But I was always told, no, you can't have a Nintendo. We got a Commodore. We have every game you want. But I was like, we don't have Mario. And it's like, but you have all these other things. So
I mean, NES turned the page, man. Like NES was.
Yeah.
Although, in our recent computer warehouse, computer learning museum thing, John had named a few modern day developer Commodore 64 games. And I had to source the clips for it. And I was like, these games look kind of sweet. I kind of want to play some.
They really do.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite Commodore, the 128D. I do have one of these at home. Most of the best games have been made in the past 5 to 10 years.
Really?
Now that people have had tons of years with the machines, they can figure out all kinds of, special tweaks to make incredible things.
A lot of it was nostalgic why I was getting back into collecting, but my kids were young enough at the time that I was like, even though they're NES hard, some of the games would be easy to get my kids into gaming and whatever. And that totally worked. And now when I find myself down here in the basement is, if I have a break in my day or in the evening, I'll pop it into one of the CRTs. And I just got top loaders for each the NES and the Super Nintendo. I never had top loaders until last month. That's been making it somehow extra fun.
Wait, what's a top loader for the SNES?
Or the SNES
I apologize. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, of course, all Super Nintendos are top loaders. Of course, I'm sorry,
but
yeah,
the second revision.
The junior, the junior
form factor.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what
sorry
I use.
about that.
Yeah, you're fired. Sorry. You get the fuck out of here.
Hey,
pack your shit. Pack all your NES games.
Send it to us. You forfeit.
And we're back.
All right, so then we had Retro Bird, which we've covered. Then the Holdovers, which was an expertly done clip. I really wanted that one to come out good because I felt really passionately about the movie. Actually, I love that movie. I can't wait for Christmas this year just so I can watch that movie again.
And I'm hopeful. I'm physical media for everything, including movies. And I'm hearing that that's going to come out on 4K in the US before the end of the year. So
it hasn't yet.
It's not. It's not confirmed. No, not in 4K. But
I thought at first you were going to say I'm hoping for the Holdovers too.
Yeah, well, I want to know what happens during summer break now.
Gonna be like
just
Joker
left
too.
it wide open.
Yeah. True. Yeah. True. Like, where does he go after he rage quits?
Yeah.
This could be like
a shot on the volume, and it's like totally shit.
Got Lady Gaga plays Harley Quinn in it and everything. All right. So, and then we did videos ripping off Red Cow. There was an epidemic of plagiarism going on.
I love the gentleman who I guess is truly respected for items that he seriously reviews, and because one was trash cans or trash bags.
The video is called Best Trash Bag, Glad versus Hefty versus Kirkland. Let's find out.
Those sons of bitches.
Can you fucking believe this? And, it's not shot nearly as nice.
Which brand is the best? We'll compare the trash bags for drawstring and trash bag strength. Then we'll see which bag has the most tear resistance and which bags offer the best grip on the top of the trash can.
And ours is much funnier. And because you've got John in a trash bag costume in ours. I love those too. Especially who can, I really, I say almost unironically, the trash bag webinar is, I think, our best video we've ever made.
Yeah, the Zoom call, yeah.
Okay. Now, did you want to put that in full screen, or are we gonna?
I think that this is the best way to view it.
Even if there's confidential notes at the bottom, we should still see all of those. Right now, I'm wondering if that graph that you're clearly showing us actually measures anything, if it's going to be revealed later.
It's just an illustrative graph, kind of conceptual.
I sent it around to my team and everybody else that I was like, all right, here's some context. here's what it is. And I had one guy on my team that's like, are these those guys you sent me a video who eat mac and cheese? I'm like, it's so much more than that.
More than that, damn it.
I tried to show my coworkers because I was making fun of them and I wanted them to see it. And they were like 20 minutes, fuck you. And they never watched it. And I was like, fine, I'll just make fun of you to the rest of the public. All right. And then Dark Forces Remaster, which was awesome because there's Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 footage in there and all that. And then Christmas False Graph and The Ring. Oh, that must have been earlier. All right. These might not be in order. But yeah, you did where we were talking about me buying the rare Christmas false graph plates. Right. And also Mark sent us The Ring on GBA, Princess Peach Showtime, Bluey the Sign. Everybody knew that video was coming.
Well, of course.
Oh, this is a good one. Dora the Explorer, Ghost Rider, and the VR Zone. This is where topics get a little bit mixed up.
This is where I can praise Todd for just getting grab bags.
We put up the video today of I was talking about how doctors should be replaced by AI, and somebody left at some point in there. We made a Mike Matei like, when is it not going to be for pussies thing. Is there any way to do this with generative AI? Is there any way to have the doctor?
Could you put a lab coat on a robot and they can ask you these questions?
Hello, Mr. Frayne. It can sound like Taylor Swift or whatever. It could be anybody. Change it to the Mike Matei AI. When are you not going to be made for pussies?
When is it going to be not for pussies?
And somebody was like, only at Red Cow Arcade. Can I hear about like the medical industry with a Mike Matei reference, you know? And then there was the fan mail show and tell, where we got like all kinds of different things. FU money. You did a lovely job on the FU money one because you had to put together napkin math.
Oh yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And honestly, I had to keep it straight for myself. So I was starting to write it down and I'm like, wait a minute, this is it.
It was great. It was great. Let's say he's 35 and he's got $600,000 and he stops getting income and he plans to live till he's 80. That's $13,000 a year that he's got to live off of that. I think I got most of the audience to come around to they weren't
I agree.
They weren't following my finances at first, but I was like, folks, finances are about time. Not 1 year of income. Then Tiny Toons and Chasing Amy on Laserdisc. Were you familiar with Tiny Toons, my summer vacation before that?
So I remember seeing it as a kid, must have rented it, I assume on VHS. It's so funny what a small world and the great coincidences between all of our lives. I had just picked up the DVD. 2 days later, I see the list of topics and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is too perfect.
Yeah, I loved it. And I do treasure that Laserdisc. It's proudly presented.
You should.
It's such a strange piece of physical media, and I just love it. And then Pat Sajak retires, which I think it defines you, frankly, your whole life professionally. No, when we were talking to Zach, we were saying that his the Bespoke video about Dan Olson, that kind of is like his piece de resistance of his, time as being a slob. I think that for right now,
amazing.
Your Pat Sajak one defines you. Yeah.
Todd.
T.
Yeah, 5 T's at $600 a piece. Take a look. Maybe you can do it. $1,600 a piece. I mean, he has $8,000. Shh.
It comes with the territory.
You got it. That's what we like. That's better. That looks much better.
Yeah, so if I can have you help me top this, if you guys could just have a whole podcast dedicated to Back to the Future, I don't need to be in it. I'll just source your clips. But if you could bring it up organically and add in James Rolfe and other heavy hitters that could get the clicks.
I'm sure I'll pick it up on VHS soon.
Perfect.
Oh, definitely.
Perfect.
Since when did you become the physical type?
Love it.
Then you did Inside Out 2, which means you had to edit poor Gloria. Little Gloria.
Adorable.
She was very happy and proud to be on the podcast, and she's gotten a taste of it now. She's like, she was asking me, like, can we just do a whole podcast about, I don't remember what the topic was, some other movie. that she was excited about. She's like, "Can I just come on? We'll do 2 hours on that topic."
2 hours, yes.
And I let her ride in the front seat. In Massachusetts, you got to be 8. She's 7. Look at her. And she wrote.
Why did you do that? You're gonna get arrested.
Really?
I struggled with one part of that, and it was, do I keep private for the two of you where she whispered to you wanting to get that affirmation if she was doing okay, and your absolute assurance to her that of course you're doing great. I was like, this is too friggin' adorable. I'm pulling this out full screen. Everybody has to see it, and I'm so thrilled that was left in.
Am I doing okay?
It's precious to me. I mean, a day will come where we're going to be very glad that we have that video. So thank you.
Yep.
And then the computer warehouse postmortem where I'm talking about how I don't like it when I get crap for my jacket or whatever, whatever I'm going on about. So that's your 16, man. And then you'll do this one because that's just it. That's
how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. I showed Nina Zach's and she was like, "No, you didn't make him edit his own." I was like, "Of course he has to edit his own."
Yeah, of course.
But all right. Well, let's conclude it with this question. So, like, if somebody were out there that was like, I don't know if I want to edit for strangers on the internet. Like, what has the experience been like ultimately from when you first did? It sounded like you were excited about the notion. Then how does that match the reality for the past 8 months?
Sure. Yeah. So my only concern initially was, would I have and I'm truly not setting up for a joke, but would I have the time in my free time to be able to do this? Once I decided, yes, I do. And it was truly an honor for me to get started with that. And the only part of the time commitment that you have to consider is that if you want to make something that is fun and does have a bit of meaning behind it, and does banter between two friends and talking about a movie or a game or some other person on another social platform or whatever saying something, does that really have the greatest life-altering meaning? No, probably not. But it's a great piece of entertainment that you can be proud to put your own little stamp on and do. And so for that, it's a very fulfilling promise to anybody who wants to do it. And I would say that if at a minimum, certainly you need to have the technical software to be able to do it. And if you have a background or at the very least an interest and a true passion and drive to want to learn, nobody can be taught instinct, but you can start picking things up and learning as you go. And it's great because so many people on a Discord, and I'm the least social media connected of probably everybody, but it's so great because everybody is everybody else's cheerleader in this. There's like we will. I hate to spoil this for the masses, but we slobs get to see these videos before they get released for everybody else, and it's nothing but a mutual admiration society for everybody involved. And it's great because especially like Zachary's bespoke video was so amazing. And I'm watching it going like, oh man, the things I would do now knowing that I can maybe have the creative runway to be able to do this. And I'll just tell you like, hey, give me another week because I got something that's going to knock your socks off.
When it was first proposed, like, hey, why don't you guys get some helpers? Well, first of all, how do I know that anybody talented is going to be able to commit any kind of time to something like this? We pay money, but not real money is the truth of it. And so I didn't know, because we pay in accordance with what's coming in from the clips. And so I just didn't know. But a few people had come to me and they said, the clips seem easy. I'll do all the clips. And then you focus on the main channel. But instead what happened, the thing that I didn't plan for was we got a big group of people that meant that everybody got to focus on one clip for a 2-week period, even though we release videos once every 2 days. So you can basically stack the whole upload deck with work that somebody puts quite a few extra hours into. And then it turned into like, oh, okay, well then that also means that like if I'm going on a trip next week, I can just give a heads up like, hey, I can't do a clip next week, and it's like no big deal. And people have each
That
other's
was me
backs.
last week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I have, almost everybody has had that once or twice, and yeah. So now we're bringing in a few extra people so we can have that extra buffer. And also, so I've found myself having to do. It's good that I do the ones that I do because some of them just require my. Like if I feel really passionate about the topic, they require my hands. But but other times, like at first I thought maybe that was the case for the Dan Olsen video because it's a more delicate topic. No, it made way more sense for Zach to do that. So,
great.
Letting other people do their own thing, and yeah, that's what's I think that the audience has started to pick up on the fact that different editors have different styles. Hopefully it feels all like one show and one voice, but definitely you can tell a Trevor edit from a Jason edit, from a Todd edit. I think you can anyway. And I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, before I stepped into this and I would watch the content that I knew each one of you was editing, Frankie, obviously it was pretty obvious what you yourself were editing the vast majority, and EJ with your EJ Cooks or your reviews. And it was funny because I was seeing a lot of the similarities into how I edit, whether when I did on camera stuff, when I was on TV, and I would do the self-deprecating things like you do, EJ, which by the way, fantastic. And one day I can't wait for some sequel to Beans for Your Dad.
Oh yeah, you got to do that. That'd be great.
Is this my dad? No, of course not. My dad's not a skeleton. Who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that? Made sure to stir it halfway through. An hour later, and the beans are done. Beautiful baked beans. Beans for my dad.
Oh my gosh.
That was the one and done. I almost retired after that one.
You could have
quit Red Cow.
You could have. You could have. It was amazing. But Frankie, what you would also do with all of the Red Cow Entertainment stuff, especially Boxmac, where you didn't have to explain to people why something was important, why something was funny. You showed them why by sourcing the highest quality clips to show what went into it. And if you go back even to the earliest arcade clips, there wasn't a lot of that because this was supposed to be audio anyway.
Right.
And it was just you two talking. It kept me interested, but it's great because now we can all help elevate what this is visually to what the bar you two have already set and the rest of the team for everything else on kind of the main channel that way. And it's a blast. So if you're looking to get rich or to buy a full physical game collection from editing these clips, by the way, thanks a lot, guys. It is truly nothing but a genuine honor and pleasure to get to have the smallest piece of getting to put out some of the great content you all are putting together. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for putting up with some of my edits that I've put out there.
Oh, they're great.
So,
they're all great.
yeah,
We love them.
truly.
And I want to thank you not only for your graciousness and that you came to us looking to help us, which is just so awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for somebody with like a positive attitude, this dude Todd is like, it's infectious. He's always like, yeah, like absolutely, like, hey, can you change this? Absolutely. It's always a great attitude. And honestly, like that's rare these days. So it's your superpower, and I really I'm so thankful for all the great work that you've done. I hope we do it for a long, long time from here. So thank you.
Likewise. And next time I'm out east, I'll want to take your whole crew to dinner.
Yes.
And we'll have to all get together and finally make my full dream come true of producing one of your Boxmac episodes, because then I can retire from
or we could all walk into an Ocean State job lot and film it, and then you'll be able to die happily.
And then you can edit it.
Wait. Then, if they sell enough beans, we can transition that into maybe buying the products so you can make more beans, maybe for your dad.
And that's how you make beans for your dad. I did it. I went through the whole video without making one fart joke.
I think Beans for My Dad could be a 200 episode series.
Like
I don't know if anybody else would watch. I know damn well I would.
Yeah. So if nothing else, we've got one.
Here's my next bean.
That's
Lima bean. Let's cook it.
Perfect.
Lima bean for Dad.
Lima bean. I have one.
Well, thank you, Todd. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next edit.
Likewise. Hey, thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's beans.
Oh, yay!
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.